Welcome to the 2019 Annual Child Care Food Program Workshop. Child Care Food Program. The Child Care Food Program plays an important role to help providers serve nutritious meals and snacks to children in their care because young children need nutritious meals for healthy development. The objective of the program is to improve the diets of children under 13 years of age by providing nutritious, well-balanced meals. Training Overview. Today we will discuss meal pattern, meal counts, record-keeping requirements, claim submission and review procedure, reimbursement system, monitoring visits, reminders, civil rights, and there will be a quiz at the end. There will also be a short presentation on how to get kids to eat more whole grains. First, we will discuss the infant meal pattern. All infants in the daycare home must be enrolled. Parents or guardians need to be notified that an iron-fortified infant formula is offered at no charge. Parents or guardians can decline the provider's formula by signing a decline form provided by the sponsor. Parents or guardians may provide only one component for a reimbursable meal. Example, parent provide breast milk. Providers must provide remaining components. Please make sure to follow the infant meal pattern. Infants between 6 months to 11 months must be served all three components for breakfast, lunch, and supper. Meal pattern for children. 1% unflavored milk is served to all children 2 years of age and older. Whole unflavored milk is served to children 1 year of age. Fruit juices are not a credible component. Grains. Limit meat substitutions for the entire grain component on the breakfast menu to no more than 3 times a week. Grain-based desserts not reimbursable are donuts, cereal bars, breakfast bars, granola bars, sweet rolls, toasted pastries, cake, brownies. A whole grain rich must be served once a day. Whole grains. The USDA CCFP requires that at least one serving of grain contains a whole grain component. Grains that meet the whole grain rich component are grains that contain at least 50% whole grain and the remaining grain in the foods that are enriched, or 100% whole grain. Identifying whole grain rich. 1. Food is labeled 100% whole wheat and meets the FDA standard of identity. 2. If the product is found on any state agency's WIC list. 3. FDA statement. Diets rich in whole grain food and other plant foods and low in fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol may reduce the risk of heart disease and some cancers. Or diets rich in whole grain foods and other plant foods and low in saturated fat and cholesterol may help reduce the risk of heart disease. 4. The rule of 3. The first ingredient must be whole grain. The next 2 grain ingredients must be whole grains, enriched grains, bran, or germ. Five. Food meets the whole grain rich criteria under the National School Lunch Program. Or 6. Proper documentation from a manufacturer or standardized recipe can demonstrate that whole grains are the primary grain ingredient by weight. Some examples of credible whole grain snacks are Wheat Thins, Goldfish, Sun Chips, Triscuits, Simply Chex. If you are unsure about a whole grain product, please contact the KFAM staff. To be credited for the whole grain component, please make sure to change the status of "Is this whole grain rich?" to "Yes," as this video shows. Yogurt. The requirement for yogurt must contain no more than 23 grams of sugar per 6 ounces. If the yogurt is on the WIC Authorized Foods List shopping guide, the yogurt meets the sugar level. Make sure to keep containers till the end of the day or have a photocopy posted on the refrigerator. To calculate the level of sugar in yogurt, First, use the nutrition facts label to find the serving size in ounces or grams. Find the sugar line. Look at the number of grams next to sugars. Use the serving size identified in step 1 to find the serving size of your yogurt in the table below. In the table, look at the number to the right of the serving size amount under the sugars column. If your yogurt has that amount of sugar or less, the yogurt meets the sugar requirement. Does the yogurt above meet the sugar requirement? Cereal. Breakfast cereals must contain no more than 6 grams of sugar per dry ounce. Keep food package label ingredient list nutrition facts label of all cereals being served. If the breakfast cereals on the Women, Infants, and Children Supplement Nutrition Program Authorized Food List Shopping Guide, the cereal meets the sugar level. To calculate the sugar level in cereals, first, use the nutrition facts label to find the serving size in grams of the cereal. Find the sugar line. Look at the number of grams next to sugars. Use the serving size identified in step 1 to find the serving size of your cereal in the table below. In the table, look at the number to the right of the serving size amount under the sugars column. If your cereal has that amount of sugar or less, your cereal meets the sugar requirement. Does the cereal above meet the sugar requirement? Tofu. Tofu is a reimbursable meat alternative component. It must be commercially prepared. It must be easily recognizable as a meat substitute, for example, tofu chunks in a stir fry. It must contain at least 5 grams of protein per 2.2 ounces, which is the equivalent to 1/4 of a cup. Meats and meat alternatives. Processed meat and meat alternatives such as fish sticks and chicken nuggets must have a CN label or a PFS, known as a Product Formulation Statement, signed by the manufacturer, which verifies the product's contribution to the meal pattern requirements. Try not to throw labels away until the end of the day. Photocopy labels and post it on the refrigerator, or take a picture of any labels on a smartphone. Please follow the meal pattern for all children. For breakfast, 3 components must be served: milk, vegetable, fruit, or both, and a grain. For lunch and supper, all 5 components must be served: milk, a meat alternative, vegetable, fruit, and a grain. For a snack, any 2 of the 5 components must be served. Meal count. Only claim children who have received a meal or snack. Take caution when clicking each child's name in KidCare. Meal counts and menus must be posted by 10 p.m. daily. Daily meal worksheet must be done only when there is a technical issue notified by Minute Menu and turned in the morning after. To print the daily meal worksheet, go to Reports, Worksheet, Daily Meal Worksheet, Run, and Print. Meal times and spacing. Breakfast must be served before 8:45 a.m. Lunch between the hours of 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Dinner between the hours of 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Spacing of major meals. Breakfast to lunch and lunch to dinner must have a 3-hour gap from beginning of meal to meal. Spacing of major meal and snack. Breakfast to AM snack to lunch, lunch to PM snack to dinner. Must have a 2-hour gap from beginning of meal to snack or snack to meal. Providers must serve meals as scheduled. Serving earlier without any notice, meal will be disallowed. If meal times change, inform KFAM staff as soon as possible. All changes need to be made to CDE, the California Department of Education. Make sure all children are offered the same food and all components are served together. Record keeping and requirements. Providers must have a copy of each child's enrollment form. All children in daycare must be enrolled. Claimed food and attendance can be saved or printed after claim is submitted to KFAM each month. Copy of the current license fee payment, copy of permanent agreement between a sponsor and a daycare home provider, copy of monitoring visit, which can be printed from KidCare, medical forms for any children, decline forms for children in the daycare not participating in the food program, and nutrition fact labels for cereals, yogurt, and whole grain. All records must be kept 3 years plus current. Here is a short video on how you can save or print the claimed foods in attendance. Claim submission and review procedure. Providers must submit their monthly claim online using KidCare by the 3rd of each month for timely filing. Documents such as CIF enrollment forms must be submitted to KFAM CCFP office by the 3rd of each month. CCFP staff works on online claims received and other documents according to the policy and regulation. Received claims will be submitted to the CDE by the due date. Error reports and current month CIF will be mailed out to each provider. Reimbursement System. KFAM submits claims to CDE NSD each month on or before the due date according to the annual contract with CDE. CDE has 45 days or longer to work and process claims sent by KFAM. Once KFAM receives the reimbursement check from the state, our finance manager deposits the check from the state and starts preparing reimbursement checks for each provider. KFAM must send out reimbursement checks within 5 working days from the receipt of the reimbursement check from the state. So all providers, please be patient. Monitoring visits. 3 unannounced monitoring visits will be done each year. Monitoring visits are done during the provider's hours of operation. Monitor will observe safety, children and food, appropriate portions and or quality of meals, make sure record keeping is up to date, capacity of license. Providers must stay within their licensed capacity. CN label, make sure appropriate yogurt, milk, cereal, and whole grain is served. Block claims. A block claim is defined as a claim for reimbursement on which the number of meals claimed for one or more meal type is identical for 15 consecutive days within a claiming period. Please make sure 1% or fat-free milk is served to children 2 years old and older. Provider's own children. Provider's own children refers to any children who reside in the household, such as the provider's own children by birth or adoption, grandchildren, or housemate's children, who are part of the economic unit. Meals to the provider's own children may only be reimbursed if the following 3 conditions exist. The provider's children must be enrolled and be participating in the child care food program during the time of the meal service. Other enrolled non-resident children must be present and participate in the same meal service. The daycare home sponsor has a current eligibility document on file for establishing income or categorical eligibility for the provider's household or foster child children, which is a meal benefit form. Tier 2 providers do not qualify to claim their own children. Child must be enrolled as not participating in the food program, and a decline form must be submitted. License capacity for 6 children. In a small family childcare home whose license capacity is for 6 children, the following capacity ratios apply. 4 infants only, between the ages of 0 to 24 months. 3 infants and 3 older children, over the age of 24 months. 2 infants and 4 older children, over the age of 24 months. 1 infant and 5 older children, over the age of 24 months. 6 older children, all over the age of 24 months. License capacity for 8 children. In a small family childcare home whose license capacity is for 8 children, the following capacity ratios apply. 2 infants and 6 older children over the age of 24 months. 1 child must be at least 6 years old and 1 child must be enrolled in kindergarten. 1 infant and 7 older children over the age of 24 months. 1 child must be at least 6 years old and 1 child must be enrolled in kindergarten. 8 older children over the age of 24 months. 1 must be at least age 6 and 1 must be enrolled in kindergarten. License capacity for 12 children. In a small family childcare home whose license capacity is for 12 children, the following capacity ratios apply. 4 infants and 8 older children over the age of 24 months with a qualified assistant. 3 infants and 9 older children over the age of 24 months with a qualified assistant. 2 infants and 10 older children over the age of 24 months with a qualified assistant. 1 infant and 11 older children over the age of 24 months with a qualified assistant. 12 older children over the age of 24 months with a qualified assistant. License capacity for 14 children. In a large family childcare home whose license capacity is for 14 children, the following capacity ratios apply. 3 infants and 11 older children over the age of 24 months. One of the children must be at least age 6 and 1 child enrolled in kindergarten, with a qualified assistant, landlord permission, and parent notification. 2 infants and 12 older children over the age of 24 months. One of the children must be at least age 6 and 1 child enrolled in kindergarten, with a qualified assistant, landlord permission, and parent notification. 1 infant and 13 older children over the age of 24 months. One of the children must be at least age 6 and 1 child enrolled in kindergarten, with a qualified assistant, landlord permission, and parent notification. 14 older children over the age of 24 months. One of the children must be at least age 6 and 1 child enrolled in kindergarten, with a qualified assistant, landlord permission, and parent notification. October renewal. All enrollment forms expire September 30th of each year. Any new child enrolled in the month of September, enrollment form expires September 30th. An example, child enrolled September 20th, this enrollment form will expire September 30th and a new enrollment form dated October 1st will be required. All renewed enrollment forms must be submitted by October 5th to receive October reimbursement on time. KFAM will send copies before October 1st of each month. Any new child enrolled after copies are sent, providers are responsible to print from KidCare and submit the original to KFAM. KFAM is not responsible for any unsubmitted renewal forms. Please make sure to keep a copy of all enrollment forms before submitting the original to KFAM. Not home policy. If provider and children are not present at daycare without notice, all meals for the day will be disallowed. Monitor will revisit the home. Provider must notify agency when daycare is closed and or mark closed for business on KidCare calendar. If provider has an assistant, assistant must be trained regarding the food program. Assistants must know meal pattern, portions, and have access to all records. Household contact. Household contacts can be made by a sponsor agency staff to a parent or legal guardian of a child enrolled in the daycare to verify attendance and enrollment of a child. Sponsoring organization will contact the household when one or more of the following are noted. Meal counts are inconsistent with the attendance records. Prior 5-day meal counts are higher than the attendance on the day of the monitoring visit. A large evening or holiday meal and snack are claimed for reimbursement. Meals served and claimed do not correspond to the information on the enrollment. Common errors. Pending child. Submit all enrollment forms as soon as they are enrolled. Child exceeds 2 meals and 1 snack. Child file indicates the child doesn't normally attend day of week or given meal. Overcapacity. School-age child served a meal when should have been in school. Remember to add no school on KidCare calendar for school-age children present in the daycare during vacation and holidays. To use the draggable event No School for school-age children, go to Calendar, click Child, select the child, click Non-Infants, choose the school-age child, and drag No School on the day they are present. Civil rights. Discrimination based on race, ethnicity, ancestry and color, religion, sex, sexual orientation and gender identity, national origin, age, marital status and domestic partner status, or disability is prohibited. KFAM Civil Rights Officer is Ms. Connie Chung Jo. Please refer to CCFP 35 Civil Rights Complaint Procedures inside your folder. Civil Rights Procedure for Handling Complaints. All complaints should be brought to KFAM CCFP, manager, staff, or executive director, preferably in writing and as soon as possible. Complaints can also be brought directly to EEOC or Department of Fair Employment and Housing. See Justice for All poster available in the office. KFAM Civil Rights Officer is the executive director. KFAM will immediately conduct an investigation. Any findings will result in immediate remedial action, and responsible employees may be subject to disciplinary action. KFAM will not retaliate against anyone who files a complaint, regardless of the findings. Here are some helpful resources and websites which will be available in your workshop folder. To obtain your 2019 annual training certificate, follow the link to take the quiz. All providers that have taken the quiz and passed, a certificate and workshop folder will be mailed to the provider's home. Providers that fail to take the quiz will need to come to the Korean American Family Services office for training. For any questions and comments, you can contact Christine Chu, Child Care Food Program Home Manager, or Michelle Fuzimi, CCFP Outreach Volunteer Coordinator. How to get kids to eat more whole grains. For breakfast, try offering a whole grain toast, bagels, or English muffins instead of enriched white bread. Cook whole grain pancakes or waffles, serve a whole grain oatmeal, or serve a whole grain cereal. Cheerios are a great example. For lunch, swap white sandwich bread for whole grain bread or wraps. Make whole grain quesadillas with whole wheat tortillas. Create a do-it-yourself Lunchable and serve deli meat and cheese with whole grain crackers. Prepare mini pizzas on whole grain flatbreads or English muffins. For dinner, use whole wheat pasta in place of traditional enriched white pasta. Instead of white rice, opt for whole grains like brown rice. Brown rice can be mixed with white rice as long as it's 50-50. Purchase or make whole wheat breadcrumbs for breading meats or seafood. For snacks, serve crackers made from whole grains for those made from enriched white flour. Serve whole grain bread or toast topped with child's favorite nut butter. Roll whole wheat tortillas in a fruit.